Why, hello again, everyone. And looks like we got a little bit of sound. I see you've met LampBot, who's my little friend here. I don't see the little green things, so I'm just gonna pop this sucker out. How about now? All right. I don't know if you guys can hear me yet or not. If not, then you're just going to be seeing my mouth moving. But welcome to AGH at Home. Workshop Wednesday, except it's on a Thursday. My name is Tyler. I'm just going to do one quick little mic check here. All right, so if it's not working, which I can't really tell if it is, it was earlier today. If it's not, then you're just gonna sort of see. These are the things that we're gonna be using. Sheet of paper, some markers, pair of scissors, and let's see what else, and some pens or markers. Today, we are going to be creating a book. Little sort of 3-page book. So you can open it, there's a new page, and then there's another page, and then there's yet another page. And the neat thing about this is that you can make it out of one solid piece of paper. So grab these things, and then we're going to get started. Okay, so I'm going to tilt the camera down. Hopefully you got some sound, and if not, you can just sort of follow along with the actions that I've got up here. Yesterday we had some microphone problems, so I'm hoping that that's been resolved today, but we'll see. So you've got your sheet of paper, and what you're going to do is you need to fold it into 8 sections. So you're going to fold it in half this way, fold it in half this way, fold it in half again, and then one last time, so that when you open it up, you end up getting 8 sections like this. So once you have this, I'm actually going to do it with a larger sheet. And you know what? To make this a little bit easier, I'm going to place this down so that it's going to be easier to see. So I worked I've got this on a larger sheet here. Once you've done this, you're going to fold it once more this way, and you're going to cut from here to there. So it needs to be the folded side from there to there. So I'll draw the line in case you can't. Scissors here, down like this, and stop there. So this is the open side, this is the folded side, and then you take your scissors and you snip-a-roo so that you have this. So the magic part now, you open it up and you've got this little hole in the middle. Fold it the long way. Stand it up, and then you want to open that up kind of like that. And then you've got your book. A couple pages in it. I think it's kind of neat. Okay, so now we're gonna talk a little bit about doing the creating a bit of a story. So in some of these, I've done it in sort of 1 and then 2 and then 3. So here I start with something at the beginning, something that's kind of normal, and then I introduce a bit of a change. So the opening scenario is these two folks, these two little creatures, they're sitting here. Looks like they want to cross this gap. And then so that we have a problem. And then now we're going to come up with a bit of a solution. So he picks him up, tosses him over the edge, and then what I have to do in the next panel is kind of show us what we have next. So I'm going to begin this story. This might be a little tough for me because I'm going to be drawing upside down. This is kind of how I would maybe start making an adventure comic. So I'm going to grab, where did I put my pencil? Over there. I'm going to sketch it out. I'll be sketching it out with a pencil first. And you don't have to worry too much about, complex characters or anything like that. In fact, next week, we're going to be looking at character development and things like that. So you can kind of, if you want to, this week, I'm going to be focusing more on the storytelling aspect. So I'm going to start with introducing the character and the original situation or the normal. And then we introduce a bit of a change. And then we introduce, after that, the new normal. Another way to do it is if you have an adventure comic and you want to start at the beginning. So where the person is, and in the end, where the person you want, or where your character you want them to end up. And then in the middle one, you do all the fun stuff of the journey. So I'm going to skip the cover page and go right to this first one. And this is going to be, so I'm just going to draw sort of a simple character here. Kind of a big guy. He's holding up his hand kind of like this. Now, like I said, because it's pencil, it's probably going to be kind of tough for you to see. So I am going to go ahead and use a pen here. And I'd recommend sort of sketching it out with pencil first. I'm just doing it kind of quick, just getting things kind of in place. There's his other little arm. And I'm going to have him holding this bunny thing. I'm going to color that in just quickly. I'm going to come back later on and kind of clean up a lot of that stuff a little bit later. And if you want to, you could just leave it at that. Like I've got this here in this sort of open space. That's totally fine. I might actually put a very simple kind of environment, or like, you know, just to show where we're starting our adventure off. Maybe there's kind of like a hill with some trees. You know, maybe there's another hill and there's like maybe some clouds, something like that. This obviously come behind like that. Okay, so that's our first page. We're setting the story up. So what we have is this guy, and you can add speech bubbles if you want. What I'll do for this one, I think maybe I'll just do symbols. So this guy's a little maybe confused. He looks kind of, and this guy is like, okay, so we've got a symbol here and a symbol here. So now you can see that they're communicating, which is kind of cool. Now, what I'm going to sort of take from this is that this little guy is lost, and this guy kind of found him. So now it's his goal to try and get this guy to go home. So now I'm going to do on my next page a couple of the steps that would take place to get our little friend home. So the previous one, I did it over the whole thing. This one, I'm going to chop it up into little sections. So I'm going to make some squares, and you can make your panels like go in a row, or you can kind of like put them all over the place if you want. I'm going to do like a little one, a big one, a medium one, and then maybe a small one, kind of like that. Okay, so there, and there. And this is where our journey is going to take place. So first, over here, we don't know that this friend is lost yet or not. So we need to make it clear that our friend is lost and needs to go home. So let's draw a close-up of our little bunny friend. And the nice thing about doing these kind of stories is you can tell that this is our friend from the previous frame. And, you know, my characters, I'm keeping them nice and simple to begin. Little eyes. And I'm not going to bother drawing any of the background. I'm just drawing, like I'm zooming in. So it's kind of like in movies where if you kind of, or TV, where you zoom in on a character. I'm going to draw kind of a thought bubble. And then maybe I'll write in here, I'm lost. Okay, so I already know that I want, well, maybe I'll just leave that. I'll leave that as it is, and I'm going to come back later and kind of clean it up a little bit. My next one, so this is where you can get a little bit creative. You don't have to draw every panel exactly the same, and also your panels, they can kind of overlap a little bit. So I'm going to draw, this is sort of the ground they're sitting on, and this is our big guy, and then our little guy. And I got some mountains back here. And just to add a little bit of variety, I'm going to color these in a little bit just to make a bit of a sort of a silhouette. So I'm doing it a little bit differently each time. I'm keeping, you know, the general drawing and illustration more or less the same. I'll color this part in as well. quickly. Now, if you're using a permanent marker like this, you may want to, make sure that there is a piece of paper underneath in case it bleeds through. Right, so it went through the paper, but onto this and not onto there. Okay, so now I've got a bit of a variety going on here. I've got a line drawing here, and then I've got sort of a silhouette kind of thing here. There was some clouds in there, so maybe I'll pop a cloud in there. Like that. And now maybe, this is where they've decided, okay, we're going to go home. We're going to get you home. So I'm going to draw in my other little squares here. And this one I'm going to draw myself a little hot air balloon. Maybe they're taking a balloon. They're right in there. And this just sort of shows you, your pictures. They don't have to stay within the panels. They can kind of break out a little bit. Draw sort of the ground down there, and then there's another cloud up here. And my last one, let's see, maybe they're like on a river or something, and then they're in a boat. That one's just sort of tiny, just kind of little. So we've got here, oh no, I'm lost. They both kind of look at each other. Looks like we've got a long, far way to go. And now then we see a couple panels of them traveling and kind of trying to get home. Now, on the very last one, I'm going to sort of conclude my story. I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do yet, so I'm going to pause on that for now and sort of go back. And as I'm kind of thinking about that, I'm going to clean this stuff up a little bit. I just kind of, did stuff kind of quickly, did it with pencil first. I always recommend doing it with pencil first and then kind of sketching or filling things in afterwards. And make sure, if you have big areas that you want to kind of like fill in with color, use a larger, sort of thicker marker. And let's clean up this part here. I'm going to color his mouth in a little bit. Oh, it looks like he's a little happier. See his friend. And this section, maybe I'll kind of fill that in. That's going to make this guy stand out a little bit. Put a line there. Okay, now I'm going to start adding a little bit of color. I'm going to leave this part back here a little bit less detailed. Maybe I'll clean it up a little bit more. But I don't want to do too much over here because it's in the background, and I want us to focus on this mostly because that's the most important part. That's where you get the most information of what is going on. So I'm going to color this a little bit. And you don't have to color something in completely. You can just do sort of little touches here and there. Just little sort of dashes of color just to give it a bit of, you can totally fill it in if you want. It's your work. You can do whatever you like. Maybe I'll use a different blue in here as well. And then if you want these parts to kind of stand out, you can choose a color. If you want, you can kind of color in the little speech bubbles. That will make this kind of stand out a little bit more. Okay, so we've got some like basic color going on here. Maybe I'll put a little more in there. All right, now I'm going to sort of move over to this one. Maybe I'll start adding some color in here. You know, maybe I'll put this color in there. You know, maybe I'll sort of color the sky. You can use whatever you want, you know, to add color. I'm using just sort of regular washable markers. You can use whatever you have available to you. Oh, I don't want to use that color. There. That sort of orangey red, I want more up here. Okay, so now I've got my page 1 and my page 2, and now I'm going to start. Now I have a couple ideas of what I want my conclusion to be. So over here, I'm going to use the whole page again, and I'm going to show everyone that, first of all, that we arrived. So that's our big character, and then that's our little bunny character. And then I'm sort of going to decide what is home for our little character. So we've got right there, and then there's our big one. Looking all happy and such. And I'm going to say that our rabbit creatures, they kind of live in these little craters. I'm just sort of doing this up kind of quickly, and then I'm going to draw other rabbits. And maybe they're not exactly rabbits. Maybe they're kind of some kind of rabbit-like creature. You know, once I've got the pencil in, then I'm going to kind of clean some of this stuff up. And this one here, I'm going to make this hole much, much larger. So we've got like a really big, and it's only larger because it appears, it's in reality the same size as all of these. Because it's closer to you in the picture, it appears to be larger. Maybe this is our rabbit friend's little hole right there. And then maybe I'll draw kind of some hills or mountains back there. So I drew these ones very differently than I did at the beginning. So up here we have trees and clouds and sort of gentle slopes, which you see again here, but then here it's different. So you can really tell that the home that you found for your rabbit friend was in fact very different from your beginning. So once you've done all that, then you can sort of think of like what are you going to call it? What's the title going to be? Which can be anything, and then the cover page could be just the title. Maybe it could be big guy and little guy. It could be simple as that. Okay. So we got our cover page with our title. We've got our introduction. This is where the story begins. Our friend is here. We found this guy. We're confused. What's going on? Why are you here? Next page. Oh, you're lost. We should try and find your home. So here now we see them sort of looking at the journey ahead, and then we see them making the journey, and then now we're home. And I've illustrated home because we've got some of these creatures that are the same, so that it can see that he belongs. So there you have it. That's our thing for today. I really hope there was sound. I don't know if there was or not. If there wasn't, I'll do a voiceover, so that way there can be sound. Thanks very much for coming out, everyone. It's been a pleasure, and we'll see you again next week.